This year, 2023, I've completed a 3-year evaluation of a community organising project. It was an interesting journey when I took a developmental evaluation approach with systems thinking. Part of my considerations was to create effective conditions for the evaluation to be successful. My role wasn't as a first-order, objective, dispassionate observer. I was an interconnected, embedded, empathetic member of the project team. I was the friendly challenger and critical friend. I was keen to demonstrate that I had as much care and passion for the project as the people living in the area in which the project was being carried out. But being embedded with the evaluand was not an easy task. All of my interactions were online due to my geographical distance from the project. This meant I could not physically feel the atmosphere or walk around talking to people for myself. I was also unable to reach the wider community. Due to the constraints of the COVID-19 lockdown in the first 2 years of the project, I maintained contact with the evaluand via telephone, email, and using various computer platforms. I attended meetings remotely and was accepted by the evaluand as a member of the team. Meetings attended online were particularly useful. I was able to observe the dynamics in the room as well as hear conversations. Some of the remote ways of connecting with the evaluand were not as successful. For example, I tried to run a focus group but only had one attendee. I also tried to set up some creative and interactive exercises to draw out different perspectives from the group on an electronic whiteboard, but I wasn't, however, able to get any input into this. During the evaluation, I became acutely aware of the pressures on the individuals involved in the project, especially around family commitments and work. So engaging without causing any additional stress was something I was really mindful of. What I found worked quite well were very short one-to-one phone calls or online meetings. I found I could work these around the schedules of the evaluand, and the interactions weren't too taxing or imposing on their day. It also helped to maintain regular contact, little and often. It was key to give reassurance about the positive elements of the project to the evaluand. They were doing some excellent work on forming relationships, working at multiple levels of recursion, and building their own systemic sensibilities. I was also able to reflect back scenes demonstrative of trust developing between project members during meetings, as their stories and feelings were shared between them. I was also able to reflect back my observations of inner confidence growing as community leaders diligently led campaigns. There was a role for me in offering a different perspective or a different framing to situations, bringing another dynamic into our collective consciousness for consideration. Another condition for effective evaluation was trust. Trust between different members of the evaluand and trust between myself as the evaluator and the evaluand. I had one-to-one discussions with individual members which were confidential. I only disclosed that which they were happy for me to share. The nature of the reflective conversations was that they were done with respect rather than hard challenge. And personally, I bring several frames of reference into my evaluation that I need to be really mindful of. They are that of a systems practitioner, a system changer, and of my own experience of creating the conditions for change and witnessing what I feel works and what doesn't. I also bring the frame of reference of a project and programme manager, a public service manager, and an educator. All of these frames are involved in my perceptions of the project. I purposefully reflect on these and their potential impacts throughout the project as I assisted the evaluand as they created value in their work. With the above in mind, I was careful as I could be, not projecting my feelings onto the work I was involved with. I was consciously aware of these traditions of understanding and my frames of reference. I was trying really hard not to be falsely positively biased. However, I acknowledge that I will have unconscious biases and areas of unknown that will impact on my evaluation practices. It was imperative that as an evaluator, I worked with authenticity and integrity. I intended the evaluand to experience me as a person, not as a label and not as an evaluator. I put in significant effort to communicate in a way that worked for the people involved. I rarely, if ever, mentioned that I worked for a university. At times it was important to let the evaluand know that I was not employed by the commissioner of the evaluation, but that I was working on behalf of the project team to help them as they enabled their project. Bringing creativity into the evaluation was quite difficult due to the distance, and there was a potential for more creative interaction throughout. The evaluand were, however, shaping the evaluation because they are people and they are changeable, and therefore I flexed and blended with how they were moving and changing. They change, I change. I change, they change. Only the evaluand could tell you what the impact of an evaluator being embedded in the project meant for them. Personally, I felt that the first couple of years of the project were more successful. In the final year, it felt like other pressures, such as the risk of losing funding before the project had achieved its goal, were at the forefront of people's minds. But I enjoyed meeting and being involved with the evaluand. I liked their passion and their determination to move forwards. They achieved some great things. And by the end of the 3 years, it was definitely time for the evaluator to step back out and let them carry on with their excellent work.